Before we get things started, I just want to give a quick shout out to everybody that's taken the time to listen to my episodes up to this point. I really appreciate everybody doing so. And there's still more content coming on the way. And more content on the way besides just audio. And I really can't wait for y'all to get a chance to experience that also. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Endless Purgatory.
If you look in the mirror, the speed difference, a mill deeps, reversing the time and the speed limit is not all as it seems. Shit, even the weed different. In search for stimulation, scratches and knee itching, yearning for knowledge and understanding as a man. So you understand that to survive is always to advance. And sometimes this life that we live seems to advance, to cling to every chance and breathe so we can stand. Then again, can you really live without a challenge? One needs the other. Everything requires balance, and that time is now. So sit back and listen and realize that me and you are no different. We human beings who always adding chapters to our story. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Endless Purgatory.
So, pretty much for this podcast, how if this season that I have going on, I pretty much want to kind of deep dive into other people and just have general conversation. So, um, are you do you want to go by Pat or PJ or Pat Johnson? How do you want to go?
We can go Pat. It's cool. You can say Pat. You ain't gotta say a whole.
Mr. Pat?
Pat's cool. You said Mr. Pat. Mr. Pat sound like I'm old. I mean,
I got I got
you
you.
could
So,
do that if you want to. Maybe give some other people
nah, I'm gonna go by Pat.
a
That sounds
route,
that's
to
definitely
be able
cleaner.
to actually want to listen. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I'm gonna go with Pat. That sounds more cleaner
Uh,
there. All
okay,
right.
Mr. Pat.
I'm definitely gonna have a lot of editing to do,
That's
but
funny.
it's cool. It's fun. So for this episode and this season, I want to get into interviewing other people and kind of give a floor for other people to talk about what they do and who they are and why they do the things they do.
Right.
So for this episode, I'm introducing Pat. How you doing, Pat?
Nice. I am phenomenal, sir. How are you?
Pretty good. Thank you for asking. So, Mr. Pat, I did it anyway. So, Pat,
Oh, well,
so
no worries, no worries.
you good? So, Pat, um, as I was saying, I pretty much want to understand who you are and why you do what you do. So,
Right.
so Pat, what do you do? What's something that you do, and what's something that you're interested in?
Well, right now I currently am a truck driver, and
Okay,
I am currently working towards being able to literally wake up and do whatever I want in life, but more so
I hear
mainly
that.
be able to play flag football whenever I want. Flag football takes money to play, and you travel, you got jersey fees, you got tournament fees, you got league fees, you got equipment that you use to play football with, and working a full-time job that doesn't pay you enough for your time.
Man,
It's rough, and not not have been able to play football as long as I wanted because of truck driving and having to get my life on track to be where I want to be at is the only reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now.
definitely. Now, flag football, that's interesting, and a truck driver, that's pretty dope as well.
Thank you,
But
thank you.
you're welcome. But flag football, that one, okay. So is that something that? Because I didn't know there was like a whole, like, because and excuse my ignorance, but like you're a whole adult. How, like, is that a? I hope that didn't come off wrong, but is
Nah,
that
you
like a?
good.
Is that a thing? Like, the people do
It's
that? Like,
so literally
is
over the last, I feel like 5 to 10, 5 plus years, I'm gonna say that it's really blown up, and it might have even been before that. But in 2012, I know flag football was it wasn't as prominent as it is now in the area, but when I first started out, it wasn't even what it is today. Today they have tournaments and leagues where you get cash prizes of $1 million, $100,000. It's insane what they do with flag
Oh
football now.
wow. Oh wow.
Yes, you can literally make it a career if you wanted to, but it's all about the people who you decide to bring along with you, and being able to come together with a common goal and not bring egos or talent into it. Like, yes, that's a part of it, but also having a group of guys who are willing to die and do the same thing for each other on the field, even though, this is just flag football. That
So
makes sense.
okay, okay, but okay, so not that gives me a different angle about how you're looking at it. So is it more like a mentorship and like almost like a brothership, um,
Camaraderie,
camaraderie? Yeah.
all of that is what I look for in flag football.
Okay.
The teams that I've been able to, the good teams that I've been able to play with, all the guys who played on those teams had known each other 5+ years. You know what I
Wow.
mean? Like, they've all been together for an extended period of time. So being able to find that with a good flag, you'll only be able to find that with a good flag football team. All these other teams, you got some people who just want to come out here and have fun and play, and that's okay. But then you got others who really want the most out of this, and that's all I'm striving to do, to be honest.
Wow, that's pretty dope, man. That's like I said, that's a different way to look at things. I mean, shoot, where do I sign up at? Like, for real.
Right?
Yo,
There's definitely info out there. I got you. I got you.
I
It
mean, as
just
far
depends on what you want to do. Literally, they have contact, they have non-contact, they have five or have 4 man, 5 man, they got 7 man and 8 man, and then they do 9 man in certain tournaments and states. And then you also have women's, and then you have co-ed, and you have 35 and older. You literally have a bunch of groups that you have the opportunity to just go have fun or to do something more if you so choose to do. You know what I mean?
that's pretty dope, man. Like,
It's
we're
cool, bro. Like,
yeah,
I'm so upset because I had to quit working. Well, not quit working. I had to quit playing in order to be able to make the money to play again. And I was out of the league. I was out of the game for at least a good 3 to 4 years, maybe 5, because I
wow,
didn't get to
man.
start playing again until late 2017, early 2018, I feel like. And then really competitively after that, it was almost the whole year, 2019, is when I really, took the time to come off the road and just come back and say, hey, listen, I want to enjoy life a little bit. Like, working is not going to be the death of me, and I don't want to die not being able to do something that I enjoy doing. So, one of
Definitely,
the main reasons why I was able to come back.
definitely. It sounds like it deals with a lot of it's a lot of changes that's dealing with everything that you have going on with
Yes,
that.
sir. Yes,
So
sir.
speaking speaking of that, I do wanted to get into the topic of this episode with you, and that is changes.
Yes, sir.
So, with that being said, I wanted to ask a question as far as that, and I thought it'd be interesting discussion to have with it. Um, as far as changes, like, what do you feel like some of the biggest, and then you're welcome to share or not share specific things. I respect that. What do
Right.
you feel like some of the biggest life changes that you've had going on for you? What that could be, whether throughout the whole entirety of your life, recent changes, past changes, whatever that contribute to where you are today.
Well, I will say over the course of time, a lot of the changes have dealt with, personal wanting things for myself or, just wanting to experience life for myself. And then also realizing that life isn't just about you, right? You also have your family. You
Yeah,
have people who look up to you. You have people who uh, care about you and want you to do well as well as
most definitely.
uh, to be a role model, for people coming after me, anybody, you know what I mean? Just being able to set the course so that someone doesn't have to make the same mistakes that I made, you know what I mean? Like giving them
At least you don't want them to.
you right,
You're trying to build a pathway so they don't do it. But
exactly right. It's up to them to want to listen or not. But
Right.
really the course of time, my changes have wanting to, just have fun, right? And party and live life. And then after that, it got more so like I don't want to die doing the same stuff that I've been doing. You know what I mean? Like,
That's real. Yeah.
like I really don't want to get stuck there and be upset that I never got to do anything that I wanted to do. And then really now more so my changes come from me wanting to set a good example for my younger brothers and wanting to be able to provide for my family because I'm getting to the point now where I'm older and
Yeah.
I see that it's going to be on me versus always relying on my parents or relying on help. Like I'm going to have to be the one who's going to have to be the provider and the responsibility of my household. So that's
Definitely.
all I'm working on right now to kind of prepare for my changes.
Yeah. I mean, but even though still you've made changes to prepare for those.
Right.
So also, do you feel like you said, a lot of things that you've looked at now is like, okay, you're preparing for things to come, and you want to be better prepared for, whatever life throws at you, and just being tired of the same old, same old.
Hmm.
And I get that, and that's a lot of things that I know I face with myself. And it's more of a realization than anything, and just being realistic with a lot of things. They're like, okay,
Yes.
I have to. If I want something to really change for the better, I gotta do X, Y, A, B, C, and X, Y, Z, or I gotta stop some bad habits maybe that I had before or you know what I'm saying,
Absolutely right. Absolutely
to
right.
to make who I am today a little bit better. And
Yes, sir.
that leads it to my next question, as far as like you know a reality check. And as far as changes, do you feel most of the time that it is a reality check? Like, it makes you just sit down and like think like, things have got to be different.
Oh, most definitely. You have to have that realization of whatever you're doing isn't working for you, right? Like a lot of people don't take that time out or they get stuck in the idea of like they don't like what they're doing, but they don't know how to maybe go about changing what they're doing. Or maybe
Definitely.
they feel scared about changing what they're doing just
Making that
because
leap.
they've been, yeah, doing what they've been doing for so long. So I definitely understand that that aspect of it because who wants to change, right? We're all comfortable with
Some of
doing what
us.
feels. You are right, some of us are, but why is it so hard for us to be able to change though? Like that you're being able to see that you need the change is really first and foremost.
That's,
It's
yeah, admitting that, like,
yes.
okay, something wrong. I need to do something.
Yes, because you're not happy or just something doesn't feel right or you have this constant thought at least once a day all the time, you know what
I'm
I
pretty
mean?
sure. I'm pretty sure most people have to sit down and have that thought, and it's probably. I don't want to put into a percentage, but there's probably a good amount of people that actually act upon that thought.
Right.
Most people like say, well, I got to do what I got to do. This is, is what it is. But even though I don't like doing what I do, and I wish I could be doing something better. But then you got the other half that think about like, man, screw this. I ain't about to deal with this all day. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And they
True.
they make something happen. And, a lot of times it's that struggle of pushing yourself to go ahead and making that decision and saying like, okay, I gotta do this. Like, there's no way I'm about to wake up and look at myself and do the same thing that I know is bugging me all the dang on time.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
and
You
like I said, for
speaking
the
some
most
truth.
right. So for the most part, it's like, how do you feel like, as a person, like, how would you push yourself or push somebody else to want to make that change when they know it's a high level of fear beyond behind that? Because I know most people, you know, the first thing I look at is that there's no guarantee. Or, but that I know I'm tired of doing this, but there's no guarantee that what I want to do next is going to be better or it's going to be greater. So how for you as a person, because I know you, and you have a high
Hmm.
level of energy as a
Hmm.
person, and extremely motivating. Like, how would you push somebody to want to make that jump to say like, man, look, I know right now it sucks, but you got to, or you should, or you need to.
That's tough. That's tough. And, you know, I still deal with it every day. Depression is a mug, but
Yeah,
really just having that thought of what you really want out of life, right? Like, you know that you want to go on vacation every weekend. You know you want to travel. You know that's what you want to do. That's what's going to make you happy, right? If you can focus on what's going to make you happy, I feel like it's always going to be a motivator for you to be able to do what you need to get done, just because it's going to make you happy, right? This is something that you're working towards. Someone didn't tell you to do this. Someone's not telling you to do this. But as long as you know that it's going to make you happy, or that's something that's going to make you happy, I feel like that's what really pushes me, to be honest.
definitely. And I think a lot of times people um don't really focus on what makes them happy. Most people got it nowadays. Most people understand that, like, okay, look, my happiness is number one. Like, I, at the end of the day, when everything's said and done, I'm leaving this world by myself. And of course, even if you were a significant other, you would love to, like, that be life and y'all go at the same time. Like, no, like, there's maybe some rare cases where that actually happens, but for
Right.
the most part, everybody in this world leaves by themselves. So
Themselves. Yo,
for
it's so true.
so for the most part, it's like, if you got this one life to live, this one very precious life to live, why not make the best of it and just be happy with it, like, regardless. I mean, all the stress that everybody puts themselves through and deal with, and just go home to be, or go whatever to be, I don't want to say miserable, but just to be unhappy, when you can just take a step back, calm down, and just really truly hone in on what makes you happy, what puts a smile on your face, what makes you feel good at the end of the day,
Right.
and
True.
do that.
Very
And
true.
now, at the same time, I get it sounds more easier to said than done,
Most
especially
definitely.
if you're going through something. It's hard to get out of that funk. I know that all too well, of just like, and you've seen it,
Mhm.
of,
Well, we've dealt
like,
with it. Still
definitely,
continue to. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
But it's a struggle. But it's like, you you get into this really bad rut, this really bad hole of just like, man, I don't care, I don't want to be here, I don't want to deal with this. I really just, I don't know. And you just kind of
Right.
like floating in the air, and almost to the point that you even start floating past people, because everybody's got their own thing going on.
Hmm.
And it's, go ahead.
You know, I've noticed that you bring up a valid point. You know, I also feel like having a good support system around
Man,
you is
definitely.
key. You know, having people who are going to tell you the things that you need to hear to be able to push yourself past whatever funk that you're in, because just hearing somebody else say it is gonna be mood enough or click it in your head to where, like, yo, they're absolutely right. You know what I mean? It's gonna give them a different feeling on how they need to handle or act or do whatever they need to do to
Definitely.
help make them change.
Definitely. And sometimes, I mean, and sometimes it's hard. I know for me, I know how I am as a person. Sometimes for me, it's hard seeing somebody like that. Like, when because I've seen that in myself. So
Hmm.
I'm like, no, I know exactly where they're at. Nope.
Right.
Let me get them real quick. Hey, what's going on?
Right.
what
Yo.
what you got
Yo.
going on, man? Like, what can I
Yo.
do? Like,
To help you get out of it.
and not even try to just really be pushy, but I, like I said, I know I can pinpoint it. I can pinpoint something like that, and I know, like, okay, there's an issue. And it's just
Hmm.
something that person is wrapped up in their mind, and they're contemplating a lot of stuff,
Right.
and
Yes.
they're on a seesaw right now.
Yes,
I know that feeling all too well.
you've definitely been able to pinpoint that with me recently, so you
Yeah,
are right.
and likewise the same way. I mean, so but it's like I said, that's the part where us two as individuals support each other on that. It's like,
True.
okay, we see, we're feeding off the other one. Like, okay, he's going through something, or I'm going through something, and it's like, whoa, hold up, nah, let's fix that. Like,
Real
let me
talk.
just do something random and crazy, just to kind of like make him laugh or something like that. So
Yes,
I,
yes.
I definitely get it, but it's that, and that support, man. That's
It
the
really
thing.
matters. It
Yeah, that
really matters.
it does matter, and that's the stuff that leads into change. That's what makes people kind of like change out of what they got going on and give them spark ideas to give them, the drive to want to do something different and be something
Yes.
different. And
Yes.
that's at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Like when you got all these people that work for companies, and then you it's how easy it is for to be the company. You know, like not too long ago, I was just at a restaurant ordering some food, and I was just kind of analyzing, like just where they're at. Like, okay, I'm looking at everything they have in the background. They had a cooker, the fryer was already there, and they just had the ingredients that they needed and a couple of tools. I'm like, oh snap! And they had iPads as the register.
Mm,
I'm like, yo, they got a business. I was
mm,
like, look how easy that was just to set that up.
mm.
Like where everybody's, really stressing about
The details.
the details. Like it really didn't require so much just to start
Right.
that up.
True.
They probably, maybe could have worked the job, saved up enough, saved up enough money to rent the building out. So the only thing they're really paying for is rent, right? And maybe insurance. And probably some other things that I probably don't know nothing about. But a certain amount of money to rent the place out, bring their items in, and bam, you got a business right there. And you can start flipping a profit as soon as people start coming in, especially if it's on a corner that people are gonna see it all the time. So it's like, man, it's just that easy sometimes. And whereas people may think about it as not being so easy or being so hard to get things going.
Right. I feel like a lot of people are afraid. Me being one of them is hard work. You know what I mean? Because when you feel like you've been working so hard for so long, it kind of,
You just get used to it, and you just
you're just
like,
like, do I
well,
really want to do something else? You know what I mean? But in that aspect, you have to ask, like, I'm working hard for myself so that I can have a better life, so that I don't have to necessarily answer to anybody else when I wake up. I do what I want to do. That's how I do know that's maybe a fear of mine that I've realized that I've had when I go to want to change to do something for the better. You know what I mean?
but it's gonna
Having that fear.
it's gonna come. I think that's an initial feeling anyway. Like even with me starting this podcast, I was scared to death. Like at first because like that was the change in me. Like I was like, it's something I always wanted to do. Like I felt like I had something that I wanted to do, and I wanted to use it as a way to like get some feelings that I had out. And I was like, you know what? At first, it started off as just me writing down.
Right.
I would write whatever I'm feeling out, and I would read it, and I would feel good about it. I'm like, I feel better after I wrote everything down. But then I was like, I feel like there's something else, And so the idea of like maybe recording, I was at first it was gonna be like YouTube, but I was like, nah, I don't want to show my face like
Right.
that. But then I was like, okay, what about podcasting? Because I know I do like listening to like like I used to listen to like gaming interviews or I used to listen about like anime that I used to watch like
Mm,
spoiler episodes and stuff like that.
okay.
And so I was like, sure, I'll start my own. And it was that initial, like you said, that initial fear of like, dang, what if I do this and people hear me and they're like, man, it's just trash. What do you do?
Right.
Like I was like, I can't worry about that. Like, and I had my support. I had Keach, K Marie, pretty much telling me like, just drop it. Like,
Right.
she was like telling me like, just do it. And I was like, it's like that's the only way people gonna know. That's the only way you're gonna know. I was like, you're right. Just like she just made it sound so easy. Like, just do it. So I did, and my first episode played, and I'm just like, man, I was nervous. I'm like, what if I
Right.
didn't edit it right? Like, what if they think the
Yeah.
intro is garbage? Like, all this other stuff. And I just after like I started seeing numbers go up. I'm like, yo, people are listening. Like, yo, they really listening. Like, and I started seeing numbers going up and up and up, and I'm just like, man, like people are really sitting down listening to what I have to say, like for 30 minutes, like for real. People really listening to me talk. I was like, after I seen that, I was like, I guess I'll keep doing it. You know, I guess I'll. I mean, and the idea was I was gonna keep doing it anyway, but like I like, okay, I this is for somebody else now. Like it's not just for me. Like I'm putting it to the world, and it may be something that somebody else needed to hear to make it to make them go through their day. Like, okay, whoa, not just I done made this bigger than me. I done made this way bigger than me. So I just kept doing it. So now I feel even better about after just making that initial move and going from there.
You was talking about having the fear of starting it and just her just telling you just do it. And I know just doing it sounds hard, but why is that the only way to really just make the change that you need to make change happen, right? It's just
Yeah,
doing it.
because it's something that is so simple. Because that's the only it's an action. It's an
Mm,
action that it's like, well, really, truth be told, I nothing will happen if I don't do anything, right?
right.
So the only way to
True.
make something happen is to get moving and make something happen.
Very true.
So that's why it comes off as so simple, and maybe sometimes like it may make people mad, like how you make it sound so easy, like because it is that easy. It's like it's literally
Right.
it's that's the only way. It's the only way. It's really the only way to say it. Like if you want something to happen, make something happen. If you don't want nothing to happen, then do nothing.
Right?
Period. Period.
Didn't do nothing. You're so right though.
To do nothing. So, like
Because
I said,
do nothing is only gonna keep you where you're at though. Continue to feel the way that you're feeling. Uh, Feeling like shit every day does not help. It just really does not feel good. So,
no. It's also like using like cause some people a lot of people let make themselves down by watching other people go up. And as
true.
weird as that may sound, and it almost sound like some hater shit, but it's a reality for a lot of people. It's not even that
Hmm.
they're hating; it's just that like they may be looking at other people and be like, "Dang, that's the stuff that I said I wanted to do,
Right.
and I'm not doing it," or "I want to do something too, but man, everybody else makes it look so easy. Like it's almost like they just woke up and became successful, but it's really
Hmm.
not that easy.
True.
It's easy to look at it like that way, but it's not." And
Hmm.
so,
No, my fault.
oh, but it's easy to it's easy to look at way. It's easy to look at it that way, but it's not.
Right.
It's far from that easy. You know,
It isn't. It isn't.
they had to start. You know, they had to start just like you. They had to start just like the person that's watching them. They had to start the same way.
True.
And it's not intentional to nobody that not like trying to put everything down, but it's almost like you're hurting yourself by just continue to sit back and watch. That's the same thing I was saying about just doing nothing. Like if you wanna sit down and watch people do stuff, or like if somebody that's unemployed wanna watch somebody, you know, go out and make some money and do some things, and I mean like okay, then do the same thing. You know, go start a business or go work, or, or do something besides just sitting there and
Not doing anything,
and
right?
not doing nothing and just dwelling on the what ifs and what could be and the whatevers. You'll just be sitting in the same spot watching everybody else
Hmm. Man, just this conversation just got my mind thinking about everything that I want to do and I need to do. So it's just giving me this added motivation to, make the changes that I need to make from everything in my life, not just how I handle things in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, what's some things? Cause I remember you talking about your brother earlier. Like, what's some of the biggest things? And if you care to share, what's some of the
Right.
biggest things you feel like you just okay? And I look at it this way too, because you're the older brother, and I know it's tough being the older person. I've been in that spot too many times. So you're the older person, and you're like, okay, I've made mistakes. I don't want you to make mistakes I did. Don't do that. So, but the
Right.
only way I can show you is if I don't. Only way I could tell you, only way I show you if I tell you, or
Mm,
like, all right, give you an example of stuff that I did. But they're
right.
gonna, but you know, in the back of your mind, you don't want them to, but they're gonna do it anyway.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
So,
It's that's been a hard road because I have a younger brother and then I have, when I say younger, my brothers and I are 10 years apart. So my youngest is 10 years from my middle brother, and then my next youngest brother is 10 years from me. And I feel like having that gap is tough because how I treated my middle brother growing up sucked because I was in my teenage years to where I was just about to start high school. So at that time, I'm not really thinking about a little brother who's trying to get to hang out with me and wants me to show him things and do things with him. I kind of treated him in a way like shit. And that's from not showing him the attention that a brother should show a younger brother, not playing with him the way that I should have played with him because I was always worried about myself. So now that I'm older, I feel like him seeing how I was with him, everything that I have to say to him is literally like null and void because it's like, well, you didn't want to do anything with me then, so like why do I have to, kind of listen to you now? And all I can really do is just be there for him whenever he does hit me up, and I can hopefully show him how I treat good behavior, or people who treat me with respect, right? And I treat people with respect. I give respect until you give me a reason not to.
right,
But him always, I feel like feeling as if like my word is, it doesn't matter, or like I don't know what I'm talking about, just kind of sucks. And I don't feel like he necessarily respects me in that regard to want to hear what I have to say, right? And I feel like he kind of thinks he knows everything already. And it's just like, that sucks. But,
uh,
changes in how I treat my younger brother that I have now, my littlest one. Like,
before we continue with the rest of the show, please take the time to listen to this quick sponsored ad. Thank you.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
So now, as far as your other brother, do you feel like it's a lost cause, or
no, it's more so just about me taking that time and doing my due diligence to grow and better that relationship, to be honest.
yeah,
It's
because
mhm.
just like you said, just like how you conscious about that and how you want to make something different about that, even though you know the struggle that's going to come with that, because now he's an old adult and he has his own mind how he
Mhm.
wants to think about certain things, especially after maybe how he felt. Like, what do you feel like is going to be the biggest change for you, or maybe the biggest realization for you when it comes to that and recreating that bond with him?
Really just more so just making sure that, because that's hard, right? Because if he changes into the man and person that I would like for him to be, right? And that's just to be respectable, to treat everyone with kindness. Like you don't, the world owes you nothing, right? Like you literally aren't meant to have anything except what you make of it, right? So don't walk around thinking as if like that's how you should be treated, right? So if it goes that way, I will make sure that I am there to accommodate him in any way possible, in any way that I can help him grow and do better. If it's the latter, I say it's gonna be tough because I'm gonna still want him to be that person, but like I can't necessarily be my full self. I feel like with him, just because I feel like, and this is just my personal view, uh, people who are like that don't deserve kindness. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yes, you should supposed to treat everyone with kindness, but also I don't have to go out of my way to give you my energy. Let me just say that.
Hmm.
So I will say is
Not everybody's deserving.
right, I gotta watch who I give my energy to because you're one person and trying to do a whole lot or, working on something that someone else isn't.
It can be draining for you.
Yeah, so you really just want to make sure that it's all in the right light, you know what I mean? In the right way. I feel as if, hopefully it's for the better, but if not, that's just how I have to, as they say, preserve self, right? You gotta look
Hmm.
out for
Definitely.
yourself first and foremost, because if you gone, how you gonna help anybody else?
That's real. That's real. And lastly, like as far as your younger brother, like do you feel like that one's a little bit easier? Like it's because he is younger and he still has um time to grow and mature and everything like that.
It's a mix. It's a mix because
Because you're gonna come off as like
an
the
adult
old, the old.
almost,
Yeah,
a parent,
you're gonna come off as
right?
the parent, trying to to make him feel like you teaching him like you don't do this and don't Of course, you're not
Right.
gonna come off that way, but it's gonna seem like to him like what?
Well, I already know I am with him the way my parents were with me, and it's just hard to get out of that way because I feel like it worked for me. Like I don't want to deteriorate or deter from him not getting that, and he turns out to be something different. So,
But sure, he's also, but as him, and not to cut you off, but he's also looking for a brother.
exactly, exactly. And that's one of my biggest things that I've been dealing with my change. So, it's making sure that it's the proper and right balance
Okay.
because, yes, being a older brother is doing things for you and uh saying yes all the time, but also responsibility, right? Because I can get you anything you want and you'll take it, but like if you think I'm gonna get you whatever you want all the time, are you gonna treat the things that you want or that I give you now good? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, are you gonna take care of that? Are you gonna make sure that you can use it and enjoy it? Because, things cost money. And like I know that's a crappy thing to say, but also just in light of growing up with having an understanding of how things work, I feel like made me uh a little bit of a better teenager slash young adult because I had a different way of thinking about things versus like, oh, I could just go buy it, or like, I could just go do this, I could just go do that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah, I may have had the money to do it, but also just knowing and understanding immediate gratification isn't always something that's needed. You know what I mean? I really wish someone sat me down and told me, you can spend, $10 a month out of your allowance that you get for that month, right? And just save the rest of it for as
Oh
long as you're alive, bro.
man, that saving thing,
You wouldn't even be working right now.
yeah, it's a lot
Like
of things.
literally.
I don't. That's a whole another discussion for
It's a
another day, man.
subject, but
Yes.
it's just these are things that I think about when it comes to having a relationship with him. Like, and it
Right.
just sucks because he's at the age of where he kind of understands, but it's also him still understanding what we're talking about, but also technology, you know?
Mm.
He's always
Distractions.
on TikTok though.
Yeah.
So it's like if you can look at TikToks and understand what they're saying, why is it when we talk or
Womp,
I
womp,
am
womp, womp, womp,
yeah, I'm like,
womp.
yo, what is this? And then I have to tell myself to just relax and calm down because it's not going to make anything better me reacting that way, but also how can I connect with him is what I've really been stuck with and stuck at
Mm.
in this point in time of my dilemma. So, you know, it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress, but understanding that I do want that is a lot better than, me just treating it as it's nothing.
Yeah, and I definitely sympathize with that. That's a struggle that I know I dealt with and I'm dealing with.
Mm,
And as rocky as things are, um, I'm pretty much in the same boat. As far as me being the older brother
mm,
and the relationship that I I don't want to say I know, like I said before,
mhm.
I know I'm not easy. I'm not an easy person. I never was an easy person, but
Right.
I always want the best. Like my intentions were always pure.
Good. Right.
That's the only sucky thing I hated about myself is that where my intentions are always pure, how I go about doing things come off in a way that maybe it isn't communicated well.
Mm,
And it's like, yeah, I think about how I wish I could, or maybe I should have did it this way, or I never try to come off as like the parent brother,
mm,
the brother he's the brother and the parent, and I'm not because I wanted to be like the one they look to for things and
right.
ask for advice and stuff like that when mom and
True.
dad are tripping.
True.
But it's like I still ended up being put in that place of like because I was pretty much forced to be the person that watches over them. So it's like you can't help, and I get what you're saying earlier. It's like you almost can't help but be the parent almost because
Right.
they're saying, "Hey, you're the oldest. Do when they do something, it's your fault, or if they need something, then you do it, like type thing. It's like be there for
True.
them, but it's like it's almost like not fair because I'm forced to be a parent, and I'm trying to actually just enjoy being
Brother.
you know what I'm saying? So I don't never quite. We're forced to learn how to balance things really early,
Mhm.
and that's the part about it. It's like we're automatically forced to balance responsibility, being ourselves, and being a mature person
Person.
for our siblings really fast. And
Yeah.
I don't think people actually sit down and understand like how much responsibility that is, and some people do it flawlessly.
Yeah, bro, for real, my guy. And I envy those people and like I literally like try and take their demeanor on and just, try and understand like how they really do things and it's comes back to the hard work, you know what I mean? Like you got to understand that it's going to take time and it's going to take a process of you following a certain kind of guideline to be able to get you to where you want to be.
Exactly, Pat. I truly appreciate and respect the time you gave me, and with this interview and with this episode, man, I definitely appreciate it. It's it's been a blast just having this conversation with you, man, for real.
Appreciate
Just
you, big guy.
even learning things, that other stuff that I never just between us having conversation, I
Mhm.
never knew, but it's good. It's
Yes,
good.
sir.
It's good insight, and I hope that some of the things that you said or something I've said can
Can help
resonate with other
somebody
people.
else, right?
Yeah,
That's
and that's the
all.
point. That's the point of everything. But
A lot of people don't have a lot of people to talk to, so you have an amazing rest of your day, kind sir. And
too,
to
man.
everyone out there, be positive, Even though in the light of things being dark, just know as long as you focus on what makes you happy and what you want, you'll be all right.
Most definitely, man.
All right, big
Appreciate
guy.
it.
No doubt.
Take it easy, man.
You as well, sir. Later.
Later.